Hi there, I'm Molly,
And I'm Jamie. We're the owners of Hired Hand Software.
and this is Season 6 of our From the Pasture podcast. For more than 15 years, we've been helping breeders promote their pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use, animal management-driven website software.
Each week, we bring you stories from the pasture, breeding philosophies, ranch traditions, cattle knowledge, and conversation with folks using Hired Hand to power their livestock marketing.
So settle in for today's episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Welcome to this episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Today we're visiting the rolling pastures of Big Creek Longhorns in Oklahoma, home to a family-built herd of registered Texas Longhorns rooted in faith, hard work, and a whole lot of good humor. I'm your host, Molly Clubb, and I'm excited to welcome today's guests, Austin and Heather Cravens, a couple whose ranch life is filled with muddy boots, quick-moving kids, Longhorns with big personalities, and a few more of did that really just happen moments. Big Creek Longhorns is a place where heritage, family values, and hands-on learning come together, and today we get to hear how the Cravens started, what keeps them going, and the stories behind the cattle that shape their program. Thank you both for joining me.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Well, why don't you start by just telling our listeners a little bit about yourselves and your family?
Well, we've been together now, I think, 13 years? Pretty close to it.
Going on.
We got one boy named Rowdy. I run a mobile mechanic business. That's kind of what funds everything. We grew kind of attached. I grew up in the Angus, world of things. And I kind of got real close to the Longhorns. We bought our first one, and now it's been a hobby ever since. Started out something little, and now it's growing quickly. Won't slow down, I don't think, either.
So I have to ask, you named your son Rowdy. Are you like gluttons for punishment? Is that coming true? Does he hold true to his name?
150%.
He was actually named by one of our neighbors we had at the time, named Bill. And we were sitting at the fence one day talking, and Heather was pregnant. And he said, "That boy's name's Rowdy." And I was like, I guess so. That kind of sticks. So it kind of worked out. We lost him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and he was pretty good, to us. So that's kind of where his name come from, and he lives to it 100%, I promise. He's full of attitude and orneriness, I promise. But hard work is definitely him. I will give him that. He's only 6, and I guarantee he'll outwork most men. So
That's good.
I'll let him have his orneriness, I guess.
So that's how you came up with your son's name. How did you come up with the name for your ranch?
So we live actually in between what you would call Cushing and Ripley, and we have a creek that runs through our property, Big Creek. And we had kind of kicked around names, and I've got to give a big shout out to a guy named Mike Kendrick. And he's, we got into this a little bit, and he was like, "You need a ranch name." He's like, a homestead name's cool and stuff like that. And we got to looking, and he's the one that's really helped us. We pushed our ranch name, named it after the creek, and that kind of symbolizes our brand as a symbolized flowing body of water. Mm-hmm. And he's helped us out tremendous. He kind of helped us teach us about the brands. He's like, you want a brand that's clean. You don't want nothing that's going to burn flesh. And he's been a real big help. And that's where, we kind of came up with everything.
Which was harder to commit to, the ranch name or the brand image?
The brand image.
Yeah, the brand image, really.
I wanted something more. And Mike, he kind of explained to me that it needs to be simple so that when you put it on the cow, it's not a big spot, that it's just easy to read. So I decided, okay, fine, we'll go with the simple one.
That's one thing, though, for newer breeders or folks who, maybe haven't grown up around having to brand cattle. It's a really hard concept to think about when you're thinking of your brand design that, if you leave too big of a spot, right, that whole section of hide will fall off. So it's hard to kind of reverse image visualize all of that.
Yeah, we actually got quite a few people, or quite a few cows, that are that way. And I've tried to help people, I learn. Everybody else, that comes into the breed, I try to help. I mean, I'm not no superstar by no means, but I try to help them realize, because I don't want to see it, so. It took a lot of learning, I'll tell you that. We're
still learning.
So you learn something new about this breed every day.
For sure. Well, your website paints a really warm picture of faith and grit and also plenty of laughter, which I can tell just by meeting the two of you. Can you share a moment that kind of just sums up your daily life at Big Creek Longhorns?
Well, the one I can think of the most. So here at the house, when we first got started, we didn't have very good fence or nothing. And it kind of goes back to we had goats at the time. I thought goats would be a great idea. We didn't have a good fence. Well, I had cows out and goats out, and we were all running across, and it was all a big laughter thing. That's just kind of the way we are at the ranch, everything's, we push hard, yes. I've got certain things I like to achieve, but it's more of, a family hobby. Everything, I don't like, I don't like things to be uptight, you know what I mean? I like easy going, easy flow.
Totally.
And we push things, and that's just the way it is. We all run around, laugh, have a good time. That's anybody that comes down, that's the way we are. We like having a good time. There's always something happening. When we say our cows got a personality, every one of them's different. I mean, there's always something going on, something being funny. We've got one we call her Trisha. She's a halter broke cow, and she's the light of everybody's show. She's always got something. She'll either yell at you or she's wanting scratched. I mean, she's the light of everybody's show, and that's kind of what we base our ranch on. So,
well, tell me a little bit about the day-to-day responsibilities. Who does what? What roles do you play? What is Rowdy's responsibility?
Rowdy's water boy. He's dedicated water boy. He still feeds though. When we work cows, he's in there with us. It's always a team effort more than anything. What I would say is sometimes I'm working till 2, 3 in the morning, and she's got to feed. I've got to feed sometimes because she's busy, and we got a couple people that help us out there on the ranch that, sometimes they'll feed, but it's all a family. It's family ordeal. Everybody's in on it. I mean, I will gotta say that there ain't one of us better than the other. So it's hard to pinpoint and say, who does what, because it's always anything.
I do all the spoiling.
All the spoiling. That's what I was just going to ask. Is if you each kind of have a favorite way that you like to spend your time there?
We just like to sit and watch them. Honestly, we'll go out there and say, oh, well, we've got things to do. We're just going to feed and hurry up and leave. And it's 2 hours later, and we're just sitting there watching them graze. And that's one of our favorite pastimes, is just watching the cows.
How do you like to spoil them? Just with lots of treats, or?
Lots of treats and lots of scratches. We have several that walk up and they put their head down and they're like, right here, scratch where I can't reach. So that's my job.
So you mentioned that you started with goats. What made you kind of pivot and decide on Longhorns?
Chasing goats. So I got a cow. I bought a cow that was a crossbred cow. She was Longhorn Hereford when I bought her. And I bought an Angus calf that was a bottle baby. Well, we kind of shifted around, and I posted the Angus calf up for sale, and a lady had a Longhorn for sale. And, I've always kind of idolized the breed on how they are, how they're hardy, how they can, they're drought-resistant cow. They're basically, they can survive on their own, and that's what they evolved around. And I like the horns, and I just, all kinds of stuff. And you don't find the disposition that you find in a Longhorn in any other breed, I promise. I've been there. And we bought that crossbred cow, and I traded that Angus cow for that Longhorn, and ended up, lo and behold, here we are, and one started from another, and then it just started multiplying on and on and on and on and on. So that's, the goats are no longer, though. No. I don't care how good of a fence you are, how fenced they are, they'll get out of it.
So how did you get started after that first one? Are there some folks that you went and visited their ranch? Did you buy online?
We've been to several ranches. I got to give a big shout out to, Josh Denwood. He's helped me along the way quite a bit. Dale Hunt, he came out and actually gave us pinpointers, on what we need. We bought some cows off Dale. And there's several people I've called up, and we just talk. And, Scott Pace I was on the phone with last night. We're going to his ranch Friday. And, there's a lot of people in the breed that have been in it a long time, and anybody coming up new, I don't, if you want to talk to them, call them. And that's kind of what we've had to do. And there's things I look for in the cows, and I talk to the different breeders about it. And, there's a big shout out to a lot of people. Don't be afraid to call them. So
can you talk to me a little bit about why you picked out the first ones that you did?
I'm a big conformation person and disposition more than I am horn. We've got big horn cows in the pasture too, but I'm not the type of person. I don't want to give up an udder. I don't want to give up a feet. Longhorns, they live and breed till they're 20s. That's what they were grown up and done. And we visited a lot of the ranches, and that's the way I am. If I see a cow with a perfect udder and she holds a calf, that's 500 pounds and holds her flesh, that's what I want. And that's kind of where we've kind of picked from, basically. And we went out to some ranches and stuff, and that's where we've been picking. And I saw some cows I liked, and Josh and Dale both have picked us out and helped us out a lot when we picked them up from them, and that's where we're at. So,
Heather, does your eye gravitate towards a certain color or type of Longhorn?
I like anything that has a lot of color. I want a lot of variety. But we seem to have a lot of red and white ones out in the pasture. I like the flashy ones though, with the lacy faces, and you just look out there and I like them all, don't get me wrong, but the flashy colors are definitely my favorite.
So when it comes time to make purchasing decisions, I know when we were off camera, you said you're on a buying freeze right now, so we won't go down that path. When you are making purchasing decisions together, are you able to find kind of a common ground or compromise, or how does that work?
So I usually, we'll watch sales or go to other people's pastures, and I'm like, I like that horn set, I like that color. But he does all the breeding and checks out all that stuff. So I tell him what colors I want, and he goes and finds it.
And we're never on a buying freeze, but we're at, I don't know, probably 52 altogether right now, counting calves, and we're gonna definitely clean some up. We got some that are great cows. Don't get us wrong, but we got some older stuff we're gonna switch out and get some younger stock, but. We're always looking, and
not we
we definitely are pushing things. We want to better our stuff. We want to be known, and we kind of see what the industry lays out. So we're gonna try to push that way and see what we can do. But I still want to provide. I want you to come to my pasture, and you walk through my pasture, and everybody walks up to you. That's one of our big things. And when we go out, I don't have to. Everybody's like, "We're gonna get the feed truck." Nope. Hold on a minute. They'll be here in a second. And that's kind of what we're pushing to. We want to expand our things, and we want to be known for the good conformation, good attitude, good horn, good udder, and that's what we're pushing to. So we obviously, everybody's told me, you won't. This ain't an overnight thing. Plan on 5 years, and it's 100% true. 100% true.
Well, is there anything that you haven't mentioned yet in terms of what you look for that you feel like ties into your overall breeding philosophy that you want to cover?
Really what we're looking for, I like, there's a lot of rapid horn growth, but what I kind of like a cow that'll grow throughout, her lifespan. I want to keep the horn growing. And I always want to change, any horn structure, she likes certain ones, and I like them all. I like variants, We've got twisty cows. We've got one of my favorite cows out in the pasture we call Rugged Cross. She just hit 90. And she's a twisty horn cow, and she's one of my favorites. I call her Grandma, but she's one of my favorite cows I've got out there. And just perfect uddered cow, perfect feet, holds her weight, cool horns, and that's kind of where we're at with things. I got a variety of everything. That's the easiest way to put it.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about variety and especially bloodlines. So what types of bloodlines are you drawn towards as you continue to build your herd?
I'm a sucker for EOT cows. I'll be upfront and honest and tell you about it. I really like Debbie Bowman's program. She put out a lot of nice cows. We didn't lack in the horn. Our big bull, Dark Knight EOT, he's a Debbie Bowman Zeus son. and he's an old bull, and it's probably time to move on from him, but it's hard to give up what he gives me. He's he gives us everything. We get color out of him, we've had horn out of him, we've had body structure, we've had good feet, and we can use him on some. You got a cow that's got a bad udder, you can normally clean that up a little bit with a better bull. Obviously, you don't want to put a bull that's got any udder problems in there with her, but we've used him to clean up some cows, and I've been really impressed with the Bowman program. We've got several Bowman cows. One of our foundation cows is a Bowman cow. The Tabasco line that we got from Josh at the Texoma sale. And I've really stuck to her program, and I've kind of, I've studied a lot into it. I've been really impressed. And, I like the Sniper line a lot. Sniper comes out with a lot of clean cows. I'm big on being clean, not a lot of loose skin, a good neck attachment, not a short, stubby neck. And my big thing is the true Longhorn head. I really like the true Longhorn head. One of my favorite cows we probably had before we lost her is actually hanging up there, and that was Boom Jewel. We were going to flush her, and we ended up losing her before we got a chance to. We were going to really try to push some programs with a lot of big-name bulls with her, but this part of it, and we lost her before we got a chance to. My big thing I look for, I think, is the biggest thing out of everything is a complete package cow, a complete package heifer, a complete package bull. And I think, the DNA thing that everybody's going with in this breed, I think it's really going to lead us there. We'll be able to see our integrity beef scores and stuff like that, and I really think it'll help this breed advance. I really do.
Some of the strongest advocates for the Texas Longhorn breed aren't breeders yet. They're young people who already love these cattle.
For 30 years, the Longhorn Project has given students a chance to raise, care for, and show Texas Longhorns, while also learning agriculture, business, leadership, and responsibility.
It's a program that builds confidence, character, and the next generation of cattlemen and cattlewomen.
As they celebrate 30 years in 2026, learn how you can support their mission or get involved at thelonghornproject.com. That's a pretty historic program that you just got done talking about with the End of Trail Ranch and Mike and Debbie. They've been in the breed for a long time, and they've been able to adapt with it, but still, like you said, maintain those qualities that a lot of folks look for. So it sounds like you were fortunate to get started on the right foot there.
I hope so. I hope so. I've sunk a lot of money into this, and I really don't care. We use it to push forward, and I enjoy the cows, and hopefully one day we're recognized as those people. So we chase a lot like that. So
tell me a little bit about what your biggest challenge has been in breeding livestock and how you overcame it.
The biggest challenge, a lot around here was lease land. When we first started, we live on 15 acres here, and we outgrew that quick, and I was like, okay, well, we'll get lease land and we'll start going. Around here, lease land's kind of hard to come by. I will say that. Around here, there's a lot of big name people, that have lease land that's been locked up for 20, 30, 40 years, and they won't move. I promise. I've tried. And luckily, we've got some pretty good land now that we're able to expand on commercially and the registered stuff. And that's kind of where things have been, was our biggest land struggle. And luckily we had some awesome people that we reached out to that helped us, acquire land. And there's a ton of people I could sit here and talk for days that have helped with our program and helped with us, as a person. And I gotta say, hands down, that was our biggest struggle is land.
What's kind of a milestone that made you feel like, okay, we're really doing this, like this is happening?
It started out, we had, I think, what did we start out with? 5 cows?
5 here at the house.
We went to, what sale was it? What sale did we first go to?
The Texoma was the first sale.
Yeah, the Texoma sale. And we sat there and me and Heather talked, and I said, if we're going to do it, we might as well do it. We might as well not play around with it. And Mike kind of pushed us, he said, you need to decide if you're going to go with commercial non-registered herd or if you're going to go with a registered herd. If you're going to go with a registered herd, you need to play with the big boys. And I was like, well, fair enough. That's what we're going to do. So
I think that's when we met Josh Dinwiddie, and he helped us out a bunch. We went to we've been down to his place a few times now and always come home with something.
Have there been any innovative practices or technologies that you've added to your breeding program that you want to talk through?
Technologies, no. I'm kind of an old school person, to be honest with you. That's just the way I grew up, and a lot of it's, you tracking. I do a lot of pedigree tracking. I take a lot of pride in tracking growth on, our cows and everything. We're always working them. A lot of technology practicing things. So we had a cow, one of our actually foundation cows, I would probably say. It's going to sound weird. She come down with cancer on us real bad, and we thought we were going to lose her. And I got to talking to a lot of people here and talking to actually one of our doctors, my personal doctor, and he's big on, natural medicine. He was like, you should try benzene. And we tried Safeguard, and I actually saved her with Safeguard worm benzene pellets. And that's a lot of our technology is still the old school way of things, and like I said, we're trying to adapt into the DNA stuff. We've got some stuff DNA on file. The biggest thing is old school ways, and maybe I'll come out of it, maybe I won't. It's just the way I was raised. I was raised where when you brand the cows, we bring them in, and it's an all-night branding and all-night working and stuff like that. But it's just, I'll kind of set in old school ways. That's the way it is, and hopefully one day, we'll move in to newer technology things, but right now I think I'm kind of stuck in keeping everything in a notebook, and we keep everything. We know when our calves back up, we know what the feed ratios are, we know what our feed plan is, and it's all in a notebook, red notebook. If I ever lose that red notebook, I'll be in a bind. But that's kind of the way we are with things. Feed technology is big, and that's kind of where we look into a lot, seeing different feeds, what we are and what they have to approve, and mineral. That's our two big things. That's what I pay most attention to if we were going to talk new technology things, and what feeds what and new mineral coming out, what that mineral offers, and etc. That's kind of where we are in new technology things, I guess I would say.
So I feel like feed and nutrition is something that folks a lot of times will guard pretty closely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to share any more information on, what brands you're using, combinations you're using, what's worked, what hasn't?
I would love to. I actually try to turn a lot of people on to things. We see a lot of things, and I've got some tips and tricks that I've done and we've explored with that I've really seen work. Like our big stock, we feed our little stock. It's a vitamin packet. We feed them every day. I mean, I probably shouldn't be telling my tips and tricks, but I've watched it turn, the blood flow to the horns. I've watched them be white horned and watched them turn dark purple with just, water minerals and stuff like that. We're big on, during the summertime, during the fly season, we feed Purina Wind and Rain, that's medicated. There's some people that are against that, try to stay the natural ways, but we're big on that. It helps treat foot rot. It's one of the preventative steps in that, and it helps keep the flies off of them, helps keep the flies from, making them sick, stuff like that. Anaplasma is a big thing. A lot of times we had a couple cows that I helped another ranch with. We seen foot rot because of the rains like crazy out there. And, just being the preventative steps with good mineral, good feed, it really helped prevent us from that. I think we had one cow out of the whole rainy season get foot rot. And, big thing we push cows. So, I guess our show feed program's a little bit different when we're doing futurity animals. We feed 5 pounds a day. That's what they get fed. And we have a bull. He's going to be really nice. He's 2 years old coming up. He's a partnership bull with us and Mike. First time heifer, and he's never been on creep. Normally we have creep out, but he was not a creep, and he was, first time calf out of her, and he's real fleshy. And we've been feeding our showed feed mix. We have a Stillwater Milling. It's got a thing we call house mix. It's full of DDG, corn, wheat mids, stuff like that. And I've tested it out. It tested like 17% protein, but it's high in fat, and the vitamin pack they put in it is outstanding. And we've seen really good luck in our maturity animals that way. Another one we feed, our regular cows are on DDG cubes. We've seen an outstanding, cows backing up 60 days, 50 days on the regular on good mineral, good feed. And that DDG cube works very well, and it's still reasonably affordable. And that's the sum of our feeding program. And we try not to overfeed our cows. We try not to overfeed our futurity animals. We want you to see, most of the time our bulls are coming off pasture to a futurity. So how you see them there is how you're going to see them in the field in their working shoes. And that's one thing I really push towards. If we bring a heifer, I don't want her overfed. I want her coming off the pasture, maybe 5 pounds of feed a day. That's what our whole herd gets. And I want you to see that. And that's what we really push towards. I don't want to hide nothing. I'm not that person. I want you to see up front what you're getting. And I want you to see how they're going to grow. I want you to see how they're going to maintain, raise a calf. And that's just the way we are.
So how you came to today's feed brands and rations, was it just kind of a learning process, trial and error? Did you get some word of mouth recommendations to get started, or tell me a little bit about that?
I was in the Angus game with my grandparents, and we really pushed, different feeds and watched different feeds and stuff like that. And Mike, Mike Kendrick again, here he is. That's what he went to college for, and he really helped pinpoint us in things. And, he helped me adapt and learn what I needed to learn and look at feeds and stuff like that. And it's really, really, really helped push, everything to the next level. And there's a lot of things I think, that we all should, people as, breeders should help each other. Everybody keeps it hid, but I don't think so. I think if anybody ever wanted to call me and come look and see what I do, come on. I want everybody to be successful in this. Nobody needs to hide anything.
So Heather, are you picky at all about the treats that you give when you spoil them, or any special formulas there?
No. So I used to actually they had treats for cows at Tractor Supply, and then they quit carrying them. So they usually just get cubes. I usually just have them in my pocket, but they know that they're there.
So they're not too bougie yet or anything.
No.
With brand.
No. I will say though, we've even tried the alfalfa cubes.
Yeah, no.
They don't want anything to do with them.
I feel like maybe if you guys were a little bit further north, they'd appreciate those, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
For sure. But I did feed them alfalfa pellets the other day on their hay, and they were all right with that. But no, they're all about their cake. If they can get cake or a treat, oranges. We've seen oranges work, or carrots. Carrots work pretty good.
They like donuts too. They do like donuts.
We've got one that she's a McDonald's French fry eater.
Okay.
100%. She get McDonald's French fries, so you better be ready because she's coming. She can smell them.
Like salty, huh?
Yeah, guaranteed that. So we got a variety of different characters, and anybody that ever wanted to come to the ranch, I'm telling you, they would be shocked.
It's entertainment. I would say free entertainment, but there's nothing free about it.
Well, you mentioned when we were talking about nutrition and then also some of your breeding philosophies, you have mentioned futurities a couple of times.
Yes,
so let's talk a little bit about just the Longhorn community and networking and futurities and events. How important do you think community is within the industry?
100%. Huge. And I think it needs to stay tight. There's a lot of us out here, and there's a lot of new breeders coming in every day. We sold a bull and a heifer to some people that were new in the breed. And I told them, I gave them some phone numbers. I said, call these people, let them help you out, And I think it's really big that we all stay together. Even you all do more work than anybody could ever imagine. And I think that we should stay together, and I think it needs to be a community-wide event all the time. Everybody's got their different sales they want to go to. Everybody's got different futurity things they look for. And I think it's huge. I think it's going to help us evolve, into a breed that it should be. I really do.
Well, when you think back to when you all were new and you went to your first sale or your first futurity, whatever it may have been, it's always a little intimidating, right? You don't know many.
Yes.
Guarantee you.
Yes.
Don't know many people, if you brought animals, you're not sure where they're going to fall, in the placings. What would be your advice? Or maybe there's a story you can share, for those breeders who are considering going to their first event to meet others. What would be your advice or insight you can give them?
Go for it. And if you see somebody, walk up and talk to them.
Just do it.
I haven't found one bad person in this breed yet. I've been able to talk to everybody. Everybody's willing to help with open arms, and that's a big thing. That's a big, big thing. I've been on both sides of it, and you get to some places where some people just don't want to talk to you about nothing, and they're like, no, I don't think so, And I think the Longhorn breed's all about helping the new person because, there's some people in our breed that we're going to lose eventually. And I think it's big that we keep it going. There's a lot of falling trades out here, a lot. And I think that the community coming together and helping, no matter who it is, and I think it's a big thing. We sat at the back table at our first futurity event and never talked to nobody. I didn't know nobody. And, we sat through that whole sale and then I was like, well, we might as well intermingle with everybody. So that's the way it was. And we started talking and meeting and ended up at some people's ranches, bought some cows. And I think that's just the way it should be, And we love people. If people want to come to the ranch, we love it, We love people to come out and see what we got. We're kind of a small breeder. We've got, like I said, 50-something cows. And it's neat to watch people come out, because I like being a sleeper kind of guy, I guess. And we've got horn, we've got feet, we got stuff like that, but I'm always looking to advance. And that's one thing that if you're coming into this breed, you should know, is the community will help you advance. You don't have to worry about being stuck in limbo. If you want to advance, you can reach out and people will help you get there. And I think that's really big of this breed. I really do.
Do you have any other advice, Heather, or are you just going to ditto what he said?
Yeah. Yeah. Austin, he doesn't meet a stranger. Yeah. So for him to go, and just make friends with whoever is no big deal. Had I been there by myself, I would have just sat at the back table in the corner and just watched everything and just, but he said, well, let's go talk to so-and-so. And, he had already done his research online and so knew who some of the people were, but I just go along for the ride and enjoy it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your future goals. What are your goals and dreams for Big Creek Longhorns? Let's look at the next few years and then the next 10 years.
So I'd say in the next few years, let's see. Over the next few years, I definitely want to advance. I want us to be known, like everybody else. We want to advance our herd, be one of, you come to get elite cows here. You'll get the confirmation, you'll get the horn. And that's really what I'm pushing towards. The next 10 years, I want it to be a marketing thing. Right now we don't push much. We've got really nice stuff, but we don't push much. We don't have anything to attend the big sales that I want to get rid of right now as we're still trying to build our program. The next 10 years, I hope we have something in every sale that everybody's got. And I hope, that it really opens some eyes that, what we chased and what I've put together and she's helped put together.
Running a breeding program takes work. Running your digital world shouldn't.
From websites and animal management to SEO, email blasts, text messages, and even auction support, Hired Hand software handles the tech so you don't have to.
You get one trusted team built for livestock breeders with all your digital chores under one roof.
Visit hiredhandsoftware.com. Your online life just got a whole lot easier. If If you could go back to your very first, let's say 6 months with Longhorns, what's one thing you would do differently?
Being a little bit more picky. That's what I'm gonna say. A little bit more picky, and doing a lot more studying before you jump in with your feet. I will say that. I got my feet wet in the Longhorn stuff without very much paying attention to everything. You know, that our first cow we bought was supposed to be registered. I didn't know nothing about how they were registered with the brands, yada, yada, yada. And come to find out the cow wasn't registered, but it's just part of it. But really, really would be pedigree studying and paying attention, you know, and seeing what we were, being a little bit more picky and not just jumping in feet first. And when we first jumped in, I bought everything we could buy. If it was under, well, if it was $1,000, we were buying it. And that's, you know, we grew quickly and I started having to weed those out, you know, and some of those were coal cows. And that's where I would definitely jump back and be like, okay, hold on, let's put some money where this cow needs to be, and, you know, spend a little bit bigger money on nicer cows, if that makes sense. I'm always shopping for a deal, but definitely spend a little bit of money on some better cows starting out. That way you're feeding something that will be productive, you know, because we don't get the calf market that the Angus and everybody else does with the Longhorns being registered, you know. Where a roper's $1,000 and, you know, where an Angus cow's $2,000. It's a little bit more picky because when you get those pickier, smaller, you know, not so good cows, you don't get the quality that everybody looks for. So that's where I'm at with that. Is definitely be a lot more picky. And if anybody was to ask me what my thoughts were, I'd be like, don't jump in and buy everything you can buy. I promise. we come out with some nice cows over that, I will say, but definitely be more picky.
So you kind of you touched on something that I'm often curious about when I interview breeders like yourselves is, you know, you mentioned that it's different from ropers or Angus or, you know, Herefords, that type of stuff. What do you say when someone, you know, that has experience with those types of commercial herds says, like, what are you doing with the Longhorns? Why, you know,
we get that all the time.
All the time. One of our good friends, Mike, again, this comes back to him. He raises the Longhorns on Charolais and they do outstanding. You know, they wean with a great Charolais bull. They wean great calves and they do very well. But I tell them, I'm like, this breed, I'm not in it for, you know, to make the $1 million off a calf crop, you know. The cows are self-sufficient enough. You can pay your bills on a $1,000 roper, a $700 roper, especially in a volume. Do I wish they were all females? Yeah, I really do. This year we had a horrible bull matchup, but we had some very good, I think that's going to be some knockout potential herd sires come out of the deal too, you know. And if you sell this breed, you know, a $3,500 heifer, that covers up, you know, that bull loss of $1,000. My grandpa gives it to me all the time. He's like, them damn horn cows, why do you want them? And he's like, can't make no money on those. And I say, well, you know, it's more of a traditional thing, and it's a different lifestyle, you know, like to show Angus and show Charolais, Simmental, stuff like that. It's the same ball game, you know. Just our bull calves don't bring as much, but that's not why we're in the breed, and that's not why, you know, we're pushing it to be outstanding, and that's what we're going to try to do. So,
all right, Heather, this one's for you. Tell me your funniest Longhorn related story to date.
Oh man, there's a lot.
I mean, I'll take more than one. We have a while. Go for it.
So okay, just last week actually, we were we had a flatbed trailer we were unloading hay off of, and the tractor wouldn't start, so we were having to push it off. And we turn around and one of our heifers, she's up on the trailer with us, eating the hay. Let's see what
get
else.
Some pictures or video of it.
I did get a picture of it before the truck pulled forward and she got scared and she jumped off. What else? Oh goodness, you put me on the spot and now I can't think of anything.
Have you guys ever bid against each other at an auction or on Hired Hand Live?
Yeah. I stay away from the online auctions. I bought one on accident.
Oh,
and then he's bought one on accident, but then they both turned out to be wonderful cows that are some of our favorites.
now here's what I always ask folks when they use the on accident excuse. You have
No,
to
it
push
was
the button
100%.
like 2 or 3 times. Are you sure it was an accident?
Well, so these ones you had to
I
swipe.
was on your
Okay.
auction where you got to swipe, and I was
Okay.
logged in watching it, and I was sitting there messing with her like I was gonna buy it.
And I swatted his hands. And when I did it, his finger dragged the thing across, and nobody else bid after that. So,
Oh, no.
you know. And then the other one that he bought, he says it was an accident. I don't know for sure. He said he was dropping his phone
No, I threw my phone.
or through. I don't know.
I was very angry at the feed truck.
Oh yes, the
Uh-oh.
feed truck was
Our feed
smart.
truck has gave me some nightmares sometimes, and I threw my phone. And it's another one. I was on the swipe thing, and I threw my phone. It threw down, and it swiped. But outstanding cow. I'm not gonna complain.
She just turned 90 inches. She just got to 90 inches. So
No, she's not at 90 yet. She's mid 80s.
that was Lion Catcher that you bought.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Heather's keeping
Very
track,
nice.
Lester.
Yeah, she's a very nice cow.
We should by the end of.
No, I'm sorry. I had Lion Catcher was the one I bought.
Yeah, I bought
Mellow Yellow was the one that he
Well,
bought.
she ended up being an embryo cow,
She's
a perfect cow. But
she's one of our favorites now.
It all works
She's
out then.
Yes.
she's another one that's got to be in your business 24/7. I call her my pocket picker. But
She's a helper.
we should theoretically, hopefully, by the end of next year, we should have about 9 cows at the 90-inch mark, and we're excited for it. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. But
It's awesome. Congratulations.
thank you.
Well, let's do a few rapid fire questions here. So, one answer from each of you. You can't discuss and agree on it. You can each have your own.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Morning coffee or evening sunsets on the ranch?
Evening sunsets for me.
Morning coffee.
All right. Favorite workday, ranch day song or playlist?
90s country.
Not yet.
I like
Definitely
it.
90s
I like
country.
it. Who's your favorite 90s country star?
Shania Twain.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Not going to
Going
accept
for
that. Okay. What's one farm task you probably shouldn't, but you secretly enjoy doing it?
Branding.
Horn measuring, worming, working the cows. I'll say that.
So everything.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoy it. You never know what you're gonna get, and it's exciting sometimes. It gets Western at times, and then sometimes it don't. But it's always teaching, our boys out there, and everybody's always learning. And that's a big thing for me. It's a big thing.
What's one thing you always carry in your pocket?
A pen. Don't know why, but
That goes with that red notebook. That's why.
Yeah, 95% of the time there's a pen in my pocket.
My phone. Oh, that's usually what I have in my pocket. Or a knife because
you said you had cubes, right?
Oh yes, yeah, yep.
Yeah, if you're at the ranch, you got
yeah,
kids in
that's
your pocket,
true.
no matter who you are.
Especially if we're working cows, I gotta keep them because I feel bad for them when they get put in the chute. I have to give them treats and let them know that it's okay.
If money were no object, what's one thing you would add to your ranch? When you're running a ranch or taking care of animals, you need a feed store you can trust, one that knows the products, the lifestyle, and the community.
Strutty's Feed and Pet Supply is a family-owned business proudly supporting the Spring Branch and Bernie areas. Their knowledgeable staff is always ready to help you find exactly what you need.
From livestock, horse, and show feeds to pet supplies, wild bird feed, deer feeders, blinds, and lawn and garden essentials, Strutty's has you covered.
With 2 convenient locations and top-quality brands, they're your one-stop shop for everything from cattle and horses to dogs, chickens, and wildlife.
Visit Struttys.com to explore their products or stop by their Bernie or Spring Branch stores.
Money was no object. Let's see here. Probably indoor working facilities and indoor facilities for the cows.
That'd be
Like full on working pens,
Yeah.
do everything inside. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to piggyback on that one. Yeah.
Air conditioned?
Yep.
Air conditioning,
And heat.
heater, the whole 9 yards.
All right.
I got a good taste of the cold last year. We actually stopped breeding to calf in February. I will not ever do it again. We lost a calf, and then I ended up pulling a calf in about -10-degree weather, and I will never do it again. Never.
Nope.
Out of our first cow, actually, the crossbred cow, she had a huge longhorn calf, and I ended up pulling it, and I was like, nope, we're done. We're not going to calve in February no more. So
What's the average winter temperature there?
it's all over the place. Our seasons have been so weird the last 3 years that you never know what you're going to get. Like today, it's like 60 degrees outside. And then this weekend, it drops into the 30s. And then
Usually though, I remember like as a kid, it didn't get this cold.
Yeah.
But like this past February, we had wind chills of -17. And
That's some Iowa weather right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it was rough.
And that's when we were out there. He was pulling a calf and we had lost one the day before. And normally I would say, 20s for the winter is normal for us. But these last couple years, it's not been normal and it's been rough.
If you had a hashtag for your ranch that you had to use on every post, every ad, put it on the side of your truck, what would it be?
That's you.
You have to answer it too.
#funny farm.
That's what we call it, is the funny farm. So
That's a good one, actually.
yeah. Yeah.
You can go with that one?
Yeah.
All right. Couple more here. What would your ideal herd size be?
I'm happy with where we're at. So 50-ish.
50 mama cows or 50 total?
50 total.
50 total. Yeah.
I like to keep the mama cows around like the 30 range.
Yeah.
You can be a lot. If you can get the numbers, I'm gonna touch it this way real quick and simple. If you can get the numbers, you can gamble a lot more. I will say that. And you can mix anything. You can make anything happen. And you can do that with numbers. But I really like being hands-on with my cows, and I don't feel like you can do that with big herds like that. Well, I'm with mine every day.
Mm-hmm.
I see mine every day for at least 2 hours. And when they are at the house, when our heifers come to the house for the weaning pen, I'm out there 3 or 4 times a day if I'm at home. And I think that's a big part on making, the disposition and stuff like that the way it is. And I really think probably, I'm going to go with 50 to 60.
Okay. All right, last rapid fire here. If you could only attend one livestock event every year for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
Horn showcase.
Yeah, hands down, horn showcase.
What holds a special place in your heart for that one?
You see everything from around around the United States, You get to see where everybody's at measurement-wise. You get to see a lot of animals, and you get to see a lot of people. Bull Alley, it's a fun event.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get one of our bulls in there in the next couple of years. We had one on lease come back where he wasn't, where he should have been, and he was recovering. But I really hope that, we can get one in there, and I think that's a cool event. The concert, it's just an overall...
Just all of it, yeah.
It's fun. For a 3-day event, it's a blast. I will hands down say it.
Yep.
Well, let's switch gears and talk a little bit about your website and some internet marketing here. So, you all have mentioned how much personality your cattle have, and it's talked about quite a bit on your website as well. How has having a website helped you share some of those stories?
We can kind of pinpoint now. Before, it was all pictures of the cows from a cell phone, and then I would have to go in and show people, like take a picture of the pedigree or whatever and send it to them. And the website's helped us greatly, advertising. And I can click, if I want to pinpoint a cow, like last night, I sent a cow to a lady, and you just, you send them the pedigrees there, or measurements, or prodigy, however you say that word. Progeny. And it really helps. And, when you can click on y'all and you can take it to the mother, you can take it to the father, and you can just go down that line and see the prodigy of everything. It really really helps. It really does. And I think it helps with me with my studying a lot too, because I'll start going down the family line and looking at,
Hours.
the family lines, how their babies look, how their mom's babies look, how their dad's babies look, and look at everything. Does that mom have a perfect udder, and just things like that? We've got a cowgirl up. She's out of an EOT cow, Cadillac cowgirl, out of GL Painted Savage, and that's kind of how I tracked her. Is we went back in, you could see her sisters that were still growing horn at 12, 14 years old, and they're in their 90s, and her mom's in her 90s, almost to her hundreds, and it really helps. It really, really helps. And I think if people don't have a website, they should. We waited a long time for that, and yeah, I really think that we should have done it in the beginning. I really do.
Now that you have your Hired Hand website, what do you enjoy most about it? Like, what's your favorite feature to either go in and update or to utilize on the back end?
Let's see. Really tracking progress. I mean, it really helps tracking progress too. I guess that would be one of the new technology things you said. It kind of helps track, horn progress, prodigy progress, and stuff like that. I really think it does help keep track of things, and birth dates and calves and everything. I think it really helps with that.
How many hours a week do you think you spend looking at other people's Hired Hand websites?
That's a lot for my hubby here. In downtime, he's not scrolling Facebook. No, I look over and he's on, this ranch and then going to this, and that's what he does in his spare time, is studies cows.
I enjoy it more than I do scrolling through social media. I mean, I hate being that way, but.
What do you think that the last three websites you looked at were?
Well, I looked at Pace yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went through Dale's last night again. And then I caught myself back on RTG's website. We bought a cow from them at the Legends.
Okay.
Legends sale.
Cool.
And I kind of been Cassie's girl.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been kind of keeping track and looking to see what they got. And you never know. I'm looking for a road trip. We may go hit a bunch of different ranches this year.
That one would be quite a road trip.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Big road trip.
Where's that one at?
Like up by New York.
Oh. See, this is all him. I go out and love on him. I can tell you a little bit about him, but he's the mastermind behind all of it.
Well, you mentioned that you like scrolling, Longhorns and Longhorn websites better than social media. Did you know, Heather, maybe you'll kill me for telling him this, but
oh, no.
on our Hired Hand website page, we have what's called a resources page. And did you know that you can scroll through every photo that's been updated in the past week, every measurement that's been updated in the past week?
Didn't know that.
Yep. So bookmark that if you like scrolling. There's lots of new information on there.
Yeah, I'll have to go through that. I've never paid attention to that.
Yeah, links back to every single animal it shows.
Really?
Yep.
Yes, we're gonna have to dig through that then. I'll be in a rabbit hole later tonight, I promise.
There you go. Sorry, Heather.
That's okay.
There could be worse things, right?
There, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't know about more expensive though. It's an expensive hobby, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we covered a lot of ground today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you all about that you want to make sure our listeners know about your ranch or your breeding program?
No, I think we pretty much touched on everything. If anybody wants to come out, feel free to reach out. Reach out to me on Facebook. My number's on Facebook from all the Longhorn groups, I promise. Reach out, come look. We'd be happy if somebody wants to come down. If they're from a long ways away, I'll put you up in a motel room for the night. We got a ranch house, but the guy's living in the ranch house, so I don't want to board you up with him. But we're always looking for people to come out.
And what part of Oklahoma are you all located in for the folks thinking about visiting?
Central. So we're an hour from Oklahoma City and an hour from Tulsa. So right in the middle of both of the big towns.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much for joining us on From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Listeners, we hope you enjoyed this visit to Big Creek Longhorns and got a glimpse into the ranch life that they have filled with faith, family, resilience, and plenty of Longhorns with personality. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. You can also explore more stories from the pasture by visiting our website or following us on social media. Until next time, remember to appreciate the pastures you roam and the traditions that make them special.